everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't, please take a quick sec and subscribe to the channel, like the video. We're putting out multiple episodes every week, so you want to make sure you don't miss anything. And today,
we are going to be covering the 7 deadly sins that sellers make mistakes on.
Okay, here we go.
So the first one is they don't declutter. Now, going into some houses, like you might think like, oh yeah, no, I cleaned up, but it's like you have too much furniture, or like your furniture's too big. You have you might have beautiful wood floors, but you got the floors are covered with carpet. What else do you see?
The one I could think of immediately is like the piano.
Oh, like a huge piece dominating.
A huge piano, in this one property, and they ended up selling it with the house, so it worked out.
It didn't get moved out of the house.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like, you might have done some traveling. You might have like personal pictures. Just end up accumulating.
The pictures are the big one too. I didn't think that was a declutter one, but the pictures for sure. I tell my clients all the time is you want people to come in here and be able to think of themselves living here and not see all of your family and all the experiences of your families.
I like it because it's like I look at them to see like, oh, do I know anybody in that?
Right.
Whose wedding is that?
Yeah.
But, it's distracting to the buyer at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, depersonalizing. But if it's like some people have a lot of art, a lot of objects, a lot of different things. And I'm not going to say it where it's bad all the time. Some people don't space out their art very well.
Sure.
So it's balanced in this. And I'm not like a home stager. I just, we know some of the rules, some of the guidelines to go by.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the last one out of that would be start packing.
Yes.
Start packing. Your closet's probably got way too much stuff in it. Take at least 50% out of it. Get a storage unit, and all of those mementos that you have on the shelves, clear them.
Yeah.
This is without going into details, but that's basically the rule.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the second one is not having the property inspected before you list the house.
I don't know what I think of that one.
Okay.
Because, we've done it before where we did inspect the property, but the buyer had it inspected anyway.
Yes.
Right. And I would recommend that to my clients if I was acting for the buyer. I would tell them, look, there's an inspection that's been done. We can look at it and review it and see what's here. But understand this inspection was done at the expense of the seller and with the seller's interest. Not that they're going to hide anything or create anything, but if you want to know for yourself, I would recommend that you have somebody come through here.
Perfect. I'm glad you explained it. I think a better way to rephrase this is not being aware of major repairs that need to be done and ignoring them.
Right.
So what's the result of a home inspection? You're basically going to find out what are the little things that you need to maintain that you haven't.
Yeah.
Or, you missed something that's big, or there's something big that you've been ignoring that you don't want to pay for.
Yeah.
So to fix this is, if it's an informal way, but have if it's a home inspector, somebody, anything, have a look through the house and see if everything is still operational.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to remove those surprises when that offer comes and the buyer does have their own inspection, and then they find out it's got this problem or that problem. And now your sale is contingent on either paying for this problem or fixing the problem.
Yeah.
So it's better to get ahead of the problem than letting it stress somebody out where it might be too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, this could be a whole video onto itself. So we'll touch on some highlights and then we'll keep moving. Selling your home by yourself, without a professional.
Yeah. That's the, I forget who was doing the commercial, but they showed the commercial of somebody who's moving into their new home and it's all wonderful and everything. And then all of a sudden they go inside and there's this thunderous music, dun, and not just sort of music, like heavy metal, dun, 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 dun,
Was that
dun.
from the neighbor or somebody?
Yeah, and they go out the back, and there's some huge heavy metal festival going on right in the field behind the house, and they go over there, and the guy, right, he's totally done up with the tattoos and the hair and the whole thing, and he's like, "Didn't your realtor tell you that we do this every year?"
Right. So this. Oh, but that's like a specific neighbor. Like I know what what they're trying to say.
Right, and so they said we did, and their line was, "We didn't use a realtor." And that was kind of the whole, But the whole point is, it's in your having an agent. It's their responsibility to be aware of those things and to find out those things, and then also that there's somebody to protect your interests in a negotiation.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's definitely having someone who has expert knowledge in those areas.
Yeah.
Definitely beneficial for buyers.
Yeah.
Sellers have trouble sometimes pricing their home out.
Yeah. Because
So
they're
having
emotionally
expert-
attached, right?
They're emotionally attached. Now, when the realtor, I know this feels like it's self-serving to like hire a realtor, but these are the facts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need somebody a little bit removed to give you advice or give you a little push. I'm not saying like high pressure, but
Yeah.
if your price is wrong,
Well, and they can show
somebody's
you.
got to tell you.
Well, and that someone who can show you, here's what the numbers are, and here's how we arrived at this number,
Yeah.
based on what the market trends are, based on what the figures look like of recent sales and transactions in the area, and so on. And I remember years ago, I did a market analysis for a property, and went through the process. It was a beautiful home. Went through this, and came up. And I said, here's what I think your number is going to be if you choose to sell it. Is in this range.
Yeah.
And they came up with a number. They said no. He said to me no, and he went, I think it was like 100 or 200,000 more than the max number, the absolute max number I gave him. And here's what he said to me is, no, because I think there's going to be a foreign buyer that will pay this much for this house. And it was to the point where he talked about how they used higher end screws than the regular homes. And he went through every detail. It was immaculately built. But
Sure.
at the end of the day, nobody cares that you used higher end screws. They just care that the screws are holding the house together.
Yeah, you got the adamantium nails,
Right.
And you got gold plated septic system,
right?
Like, nobody cares about any of
Right.
that stuff,
right?
Even though it's like the best. I made up those things. Adamantium is like from Marvel.
It's a Marvel thing, yeah.
Like the Wolverine is made out of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully you've gotten to know me. Sometimes I kid about things. The number one reason why deals collapse, like a contract on closing, is the legal clauses are not enforceable.
Okay.
So that's when selling yourself. So like realtors have a certain amount of legal training to be able to put together legal clauses that are binding once agreed upon.
Yeah.
And then
And we have a brokerage that oversees what we're doing.
a brokerage, education,
And a brokerage, a managing broker, a board that has oversight, and
BCFSA.
BCFSA over.
Yeah, we have government oversight over everything that we do.
Yeah.
And then the last part of that, I don't want to continue on after this, is buyers want a discount for not having the seller having to pay for a realtor.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then the seller wants to get as much as they possibly can.
Right.
So they price it against homes that are on the market that have hired realtors.
Yeah.
So moving on. Right. 7 deadly sins of home selling. Restricting viewing hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't get around that.
Yeah. If you work shift work or you have a young child, sometimes people have, there's pets where they have to work around schedules. Somebody's got to take the pet for a walk or those kind of things. So sometimes it's inevitable.
Yeah. What's the last one? What's the most common for me? I think it's been tenants.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to give extra notice.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a schedule. They only let you in on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So you have 1/7 of the week of access for buyers. Buyers are not always available during that time. All these kind of restrictions reflect a longer time on the market before being able to find somebody or the right buyer for the house to bring you an offer. And that might bring you an offer, and they look at it and just ask like, well, what's wrong with the house? It's been on the market for X amount of days,
Right.
and they might know the reason, but they don't care because look at your house has been on the market for so long.
Right.
So, okay, and you mentioned it already, allowing pets to roam free in the house. Mm-hmm. Now, typically a cat won't be locked in somewhere. Usually there'll be a note to like not let the cat out.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody really. They have had pet allergies, but we're pretty quick in and out of the house. I don't think it's changed their decision because they might have been allergic to a cat.
I would say I know of one of my clients who once they ended up moving in, they basically had to do everything, steam clean the whole place.
Yeah, so some additional cost there.
But they knew that going into it, and that had to do with the pet that was in the property before.
Yeah, and take your dog out. Yeah, some people are scared of dogs or nervous around dogs.
Yeah.
Even if they're in the garage,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you come into the house and you got some like, the little dogs, like, I don't know. I get nervous around dogs, but little ones, like, no. I was bit by a dog. It was a long time ago, so I got irrational fear about that. So I'm not complaining. I'm not like picking on dogs.
Yeah.
But if there's a big, like, you can't talk, you
yeah,
can't
the thing is, if you
concentrate,
you're better served to take the dog for a walk.
get that dog out. Yeah, exactly. Putting your house on the market and then go vacationing to the South Pole.
It's not a bad idea to put your house on the market and go vacationing. However, you need to be accessible.
I need to be able to reach you.
Yeah, you need to be able to communicate with your agent that's representing you, and you need to be able to get on the internet when it comes to looking at offers and signing documents.
Now, with pre-planning, I've had clients do this, and I love it because the house is available, accessible. I don't have to like check in with them. I let them know almost afterwards. I've already confirmed the viewing. Hey, by the way, there's 3 viewings tomorrow. Hey, by the way, there's whatever this weekend. And have different ways of being able to connect with somebody. So even if they don't have the cell phone plan or data, like maybe their WhatsApp will work.
Yeah.
You find a messaging system that will work wherever they might be going.
Yeah.
And just plan ahead before then. And if you're in one of those places where you don't have electronic signatures, I could not imagine trying to hunt down like a hotel that has a fax machine or a business center that still uses fax machines. I'm sure it's still out there.
There's probably somewhere. Satellite phone. Yeah, whatever it is, if that's what and I think it's awesome. So, are your clients desperate to sell? No, they're actually in Disneyland, with the whole family of like 6 people. Like, it's not a money thing right now. Yeah, right.
All right, number 7. Making your home contingent, the sale of your home contingent on purchasing another one.
Yeah.
We do it in reverse. We have a subject to the sale of a home, another home, before we're able to purchase, but doing it in reverse. Now, I'm not saying don't do this. I think I've heard of like 1 or 2 stories that I've done. You've done it?
I've done it. And it comes down to to your client and what their situation is and what makes sense for them, and them understanding if they're going to do that, here are the repercussions of putting this in a contract.
Everyone asked me about this. Oh, we're going to sell our home. What if we don't find a home in time? There is some kind of, I don't know how to explain it. I describe it this way. There's a psychological change. When you're window shopping with no money, you don't shop the same way. When your house is sold, it seems like it only takes 2 weeks to find a house. Like, I've never found it.
Yeah,
like
I guess you're more invested.
You're more invested. You're hunting with ammo now, where before you were just sightseeing. Right. So you look at houses differently as soon as you know how much you have, and like, I think the anticipation starts to increase. If somebody's smarter than me, which I'm sure there is, they can explain it better to me, whatever the psychology is that happens. I'd love to actually know it so I can explain it better. But that's how I explain it. So those are the 7 deadly sins
Seven
for
deadly
home
sins
sellers.
for home sellers. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you got some good information out of that. Please take a minute and like and subscribe. It helps us out with getting the word out there. If you know anybody who you think needs to see what we're talking about, please let them know about it.
And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate in the Greater Victoria area or anywhere on Southern Vancouver Island, you can get a hold of us. Our information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.